Hello, and welcome back to my YouTube page. This is where I give my opinions, reviews, and rants on the BLs that I watch, regardless of whether I like them or not. Today, I'm going to be talking about Reset. I watched the episode last night. I think, yes, I did, and it was a good show. I enjoyed it. Um, as people are saying, the cinematography was beautifully shot, and I like that. But just like every story, there's the good and the bad, all right? Let me just talk about it and eventually we'll see some good stuff and we'll hear some bad stuff, okay? It is what it is, okay? But overall, I did enjoy the show. I thought the episode was good. The visual storytelling was interesting. It was told in a way that I felt like there's an actual story there and it's not just the BL element, It had those elements of like Bangkok Boy, um, Top Form, The Whisperer from last year, even Playboy, it has that kind of visual element to it that feels like there's a lot of story to be told here, so I like that. Something that I was a bit unsure about was um the interaction between the supposed enemies of admin, right, and him. The story presents admin as some sort of, I don't know what it really presents him as, but it gives him some sort of good guy look, and as though he's some sort of angel, or like he's the one that is on the right and everybody is, bad. Basically, yeah, that's how the story sets up, as admin look like a good person and everybody else is the one that looks to hate on him for no reason, right? That's the aesthetic that the story has. And that, I mean, it is a setup. Is that's how the story starts, and so I understand probably why it's, like that. But I would not necessarily love it if that's just the essence of the entire series. Like if the entire series is that, yep, everybody just hates him and he is just a good person, and like people are the ones who are being trashed to him at every single time. I feel like that would not make for an interesting story. As I was watching the story, somewhere down the line, I was thinking maybe the story could go in a direction where maybe him going into the past, he would like probably learn that, okay, these people that I think hate me for no reason, or I have this problem or that problem with, maybe it's not just they hate me for no reason. Maybe there's a legitimate reason. And some of them are probably redeemable. There are some relationships that I can fix, blah, 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 right? But watching the story, like halfway in, it did not feel like that. The story actually, it turned its focus on the main couple, which it might actually felt very secondary to the primary story. Like the couple part of the story, I felt like there isn't much going on there. I mean, it's cute, it's nice, but in terms of how, like, whenever it switched from, admin trying to do his stuff, like whenever it switched from his storyline into just him being alone with the dude and having their couple moment, it always, I don't know, it doesn't have the same role, like it doesn't have the same oomph that the other one has, I don't know. It just doesn't for me. But but anyway, it just felt like the story was not really going to go in that direction. And it's just, the first episode. Who knows how it's going to go? But I feel like the story would be more, like it will be more of a strong story if it goes down that route. That way it will be like looking back, not everybody who is just your enemy was just your enemy. You get what I'm trying to say? So yeah, anyway, that's what I thought about as I watched it. And Admin also is the one telling the story, and the way he was narrating the story, no offense, but he sounded very pretentious. The way he was talking, it sounded like somebody who's a bit full of himself. But the story is trying to make it seem like no, he's not that kind of character. But whenever he talks, there is a standard to him. At the very least, the old version of him, right? At the very least, which is still the new version, but like the old version during the award shows and all that stuff, he talks as though, I don't know, he doesn't talk like somebody who thinks everybody's beneath him, but then he talks as like that a little bit. And also the narrator, which is him, does the exact same thing. And it makes it harder for me to root for him because the story is presenting him as a bit of an underdog for the most part, who made it all. By the way, he made it to the end, but still, is presenting him like an underdog, and it's hard for me to root for the underdog ish when it feels like he has a bit of an attitude. But then the other characters who have the attitude as well as he does, they paint them as bad, but they paint admin as a good person. I don't know how to like. So far, everybody is acting a bit of the same in the industry, in the movie industry that they are. They all don't seem to like each other, but from the story perspective, it paints admin as like, you know, the perfect one instead. And that's just, there was even something she told the woman when he went into the past. There's something he told the woman about the woman being selfish and nothing is good enough for her. But what is ridiculous about that thing is that who supposedly went from broke to rich because he's an actor, when he became rich, did you see his house? Did you see the mansion that he built? Did you see how big that house was? Did you see when he fell off his veranda thingy, his stair bro thingy? Did you see that house? Like, how can you tell somebody else that nothing is ever good enough for them, but when you go rich, this is the kind of house you build? You would think he's living there with his entire family or something like that. Like there are like 50 people in the house. But no, it's just him and the boyfriend, right? So with something like that, I feel like to the audience, it's supposed to show that, oh, okay, the woman and the other people are the selfish ones and blah, blah, blah. But then when you look at Admin's life, for the most part, it's given, yeah, he's no different. Like, basically, the after party that was in the beginning of the story was at his house. I thought that was like a hotel or something, but it turns out that was his house. But he's telling somebody that nothing is ever good enough for them. You get what I'm trying to say? So I don't know. It's just that part. Maybe as the story progressed, they will do more of that thing that I said in the beginning about maybe it's being not every enemy from your past is just your enemy, and that maybe he would also learn that he got a little bit pretentious with time. I don't know. I don't know. But so far, I don't know. He's no different from the other people who have been projected to be bad people or like to be like, oh my god, they're just haters. It's like he's not that different from them so far. All right. Oh yeah, and one more thing I have to say. I mean, in the past, I love his hat. I love his like Jesus Christ look that he got going on. The one who was like in present day or something like that, the one who died. I mean, his hair is cute, but the one from the past, heavens, love it. Right, love it. When he had the haircut, I thought that was nice, but I mainly love the one in its raw form. I just love that. And as I said before, I feel like I hope that with time the story makes Admin a little bit like how he was in the past. You see, the past version of him, when they tell the story, they tell the story as to how it happened before he did the reset, right? And before the reset part, he seemed to be a soft guy. He seemed to be quite nice and all that kind of stuff. So I hope that as the story progresses, it's kind of like it's not just a reset of having to do everything again, but it's also a reset about going back to your roots a little bit, as in going back to who you were before the industry made you into like this kind of douchebag. He's not really a douchebag, but like, I mean, in terms of like that kind of everybody's my enemy energy that he has going on, that kind of shit. I hope the story just goes back, makes him a little bit more softer as it was before. Yeah, and some people hinted on Twitter that the reset is supposed to be about how he's going to find out that the guy, mysterious rich dude, is the one that has been his number one fan all his life, and he's the one that helped him to the point that he is. So he's going to be appreciative of that, blah blah blah. That's supposed to be the reset, right? And that is all fine. I mean, that's cool, but I feel like so far, based on how the story has been set up, there is more to it. Like, I mean, there is more they can do with the story than just that. Right? They can do that, right? But they can also do the not everybody who is like bad to you or like who you think is your enemy, right? Who you think was your enemy is your enemy, and they can do other stuff to it. Also, like in the beginning of the story, somewhere when they were at a party and he met a friend who was a waiter, and he decided to have a conversation with him about being sorry, blah, blah, blah. And the friend was like, "We're never friends, leave me alone." And he walked away. When he went to the past, he met the same friend again. And in some ways, I found it weird a little bit in his interaction with that friend, because based on how it started, it felt like he had actually done something wrong to this person and he should apologize for it, right? And I understand that he's in the past now, so he's not the same person as he was before, but I still expected him to feel a little bit remorseful for whatever that he'd done. So whenever he saw the friend, he would, like, I don't know, in part just want to apologize just cause. I felt like I, I I wanted a little bit of that from him, but he wasn't doing that. He was acting as though nothing had changed, right? He was acting like it's this is the normal interaction. What, like with the friend stuff? I, I don't know. There was something odd about that, and again, that's why I feel like he's no different from the people that the story makes it seem as though they are terrible people. I feel like, yeah, he's not that different. Anyway, that's all I have to say about like the main character alone. I'm going to talk about the other characters now. With mysterious rich guy, yeah, mysterious rich guy. I don't know much about. I mean, they've set up his story that he knows Amin since he's a bit obsessive with him, and he supposedly is able to drive to him whenever he needs help or something like that. I don't know whether that's a supernatural effect. I have no idea, but they're going to probably expand more on that story, so we'll see. When I saw that actor in the show, I think I saw the trailer of it and saw him in it, but forgot. But when I watched the show and I saw him again, I was a little bit worried. Not because he's a bad actor or anything like that. No, he's a good actor. It's just that in other shows that I've seen him in, so I can't really remember the shows. I think he was in All My Sunshine Night, and it was also in another story, right? And in both those stories, he had a very dull like energy to him, right? And usually with most actors and stuff, they tend to play the same or similar characters throughout their life. Even with the actor that plays admin, I feel like he too in his other shows, it's not that different from the character he's playing now. At the very least, in the 180 something something title, I've forgotten. I'll put a picture up. But basically, yeah. So with this other guy, mysterious rich guy, when I saw that, I was a little bit worried because I didn't want to see that kind of dull energy in the show, right? I didn't want to really have to see that. And so far, he, well, he hasn't really done anything yet, but the story hasn't really focused much on him, so we'll have to wait and see. But it is what it is, right? His brother in the show, it seems like he's just there for wait, commit how do you say comedy? Comedic effect, with his mother. The interaction felt very comedic. So I feel like he's just there for the comedic aspect. What else have to say about the show? I don't think there's much that I need to say about the show for now. All I can say is that so far, the first episode was good. It has potential, but I'm a bit worried in terms of what the story is going to focus on. Because when I watched the preview for the next episode, I wanted to see something that would tell me where the story was going. But then the entire preview was just about the pool side and the guy going shirtless. And it was like, I don't know, because it's like, if that's going to be the preview for the next episode, it makes me a little bit worried in which direction the story is going to go. Because I feel like this story has like a real story, like or a major story in there, and I don't want it to just focus on, oh my god, they're so in love or this and that. I mean, that should be part of it, but I feel like it shouldn't be the only thing. I mean, they can do it like 7 days before Valentine. That show, for example, it had that heavy storyline, but it also had that cute moment. Though it wasn't as much, but there were hints of it throughout, right? So I feel like both can be that, or even like Playboy and stuff, right? So yeah, I don't know. But so far it was a good episode. I enjoyed it, and if it keeps building up on the momentum that it has, it could possibly be one of my favorite shows this year if it keeps building on that momentum. And one more thing, I wish we had gotten to see the reactions of his supposed enemies when he fell to his death. I know it wouldn't make sense for the continuation of the story, but I was quite interested to see how the cheaters would be like, or how the people that I assume poison his drink would be like, or the other woman that is not so friendly with him, how they would all react, or like at the very least in the coming days. I wanted to see how that would be like, you know. Anyway, those are my opinions on this story. It was good. I enjoyed it. And if you want to hear my opinions and views on other stories, you can check my channel out or subscribe to me or like this video. All right. See you in the next video. Bye.